record button here. Should be good to go.
All right. Yeah.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the first Patreon exclusive video, you guys. This is Max and Nate Go to the Movies. First time ever, you guys, for WrestleMania week, Patreon exclusive. Max, what the hell did we just watch?
We just watched the third installment of the Unbreakable trilogy by M. Night Shyamalan. Everyone's favorite director. Oh no! Yeah, he's.
We watched Glass.
Yeah, we watched Glass.
Holy crap!
Wow.
So for those,
that movie sucks. No, I'm kidding. We fucking loved that movie. Spoilers for the movie if you haven't seen it. I mean, we're recording this literally after seeing it in theaters, and you're putting it up. What'd you say, WrestleMania weekend?
Around April time. So by this point,
if you haven't seen the movie by fucking April, it's been like 3.5 months at that point. No one to blame but yourselves. Pause this video. Go correct this mistake. It's probably on DVD.
Probably.
Or something.
So let's talk about the talking points. So the positives that come out of this movie. Plot-wise, what did you think of the plot?
Well, okay. When I say the plot's kind of a bit basic, I don't mean that in a bad sense. It's because the story isn't really the focus of the movie. It's about the characters, what's going on with them, and more what the plot is about, like in terms of, what does it all mean, that kind of thing. But it's still a very well executed story.
Yeah.
You got our three main characters are James McAvoy's character, the Horde from Split, David Dunn,
played by Bruce Willis.
Yep, the Overseer, the main character from Unbreakable, and Mr. Glass,
played by Samuel L. Jackson, who's the mastermind.
Right. And it's basically Elijah, Mr. Glass. He's been in this institution for a while. They've been keeping him sedated. The Overseer and the Horde wind up fighting at the beginning of the movie, and then they get brought in, and there's this woman who's trying to basically, you guys have this disorder that I've been studying for years now. You think you have all these special powers, but, you actually don't. And she's using all these really experimental techniques to kind of try and, fix them, help them, that kind of thing. And obviously, Mr. Glass, him being the mastermind, he's not so keen on that. And of course, at one point, you got they see each other's rooms across the hall, the Horde and the Overseer. Oh God! And then you got the Horde's main, the girl who he let go at the end of Split.
Casey, played by Taylor something, I think.
I can't remember the last name.
Something Taylor Joy. I know it was a hyphen last name or something like that.
And then you got her, Elijah's mom, and the Overseer's son.
Yep, Dunn's son. Yep.
Yeah. And they're basically kind of, trying to help from the outside, trying to piece things together.
In all honesty, they do help up quite a bit in the end. But
we're not
going to jump to that right
now. No. But basically, do they have superpowers? Do they not? Are they, just... Did they just have this condition that she's talking about? Are they regular people?
Are they regular people, or do they have this condition that they believe is actually, legit? And we come to find out that they do, in fact, have the deal that's legit. And we get basically, the introduction to, Elijah's character, Mr. Glass, and James McAvoy's character, the Horde. They pair up, they talk, they do like the supervillain.
Like the bad guys teaming up.
Oh my God! When that line hit, that was.
I know awesome. That line's in the trailers. Yeah, but a good trailer throws you off. They don't give you the right details. Yeah. The line in the context of the trailer it's just a basic hype line. Like, that sounds like the bad guys teaming up. Cue action scenes in the trailer.
Exactly.
In this one, it's literally just it's meant to be a big line, but it's also just meant to be, this is me. That is literally what we're going to be doing. That is the plan. The trailers kind of made it seem like it was going to be like this maybe more mysterious, slightly more hard-edged, just superhero movie. That is... The trailer's lie. This is like a psychological thriller. It's got an action scene at the beginning and an action scene at the end, and in the middle it's
storyline development
and characters and talking. And if you think that sounds boring, no. You are incorrect. Sir or madam, you are incorrect.
It is one of those things where I will definitely say that M. Night Shyamalan did an absolutely fantastic job. I mean, he does throw a lot of twists and turns in the movie.
Really more towards the end, though.
Yeah, I will agree with
that. There's two twists at the end. One that's It's kind of big. It's kind of big. And then there's the final twist.
Which, holy crap.
Not a bad twist.
Nobody expected
Yeah,
to see that.
no, don't get me wrong. Not a bad, like, I've heard some people go, kind of give it a, oh, are you kidding me? And I understand. I can understand, because it's a lot all at once. So I can kind of see some people kind of getting kicked out of it and just going, really, are you kidding me?
Right.
But even if that is how you feel about the twist, and again, I disagree, but I see where you're coming from. It doesn't really hurt the movie. It's one of those, if you think it's a bad twist, it's really just a bad scene in what is otherwise a really good movie. It's one of those, the journey, not necessarily the destination, which, considering all the buildup and the mystery, it sounds contradictory, but it's weird. It's kind of weird that a movie can have, like, in that case, like, a problem, but it doesn't, like, punch a hole through it. Again, right. I thought the twist was fucking great. I think you agreed with me.
Oh, yeah.
Because your jaw was on the floor right along with mine.
So, basically, after all this happened, we get the big, almost seemingly final sequence between the Overseer, the Horde, and Mastermind. Basically, they're clashing with each other. We find a pretty important detail in there that actually tied everything together, which I think was probably the first twist that I honestly don't think I even saw that coming.
Yeah.
I knew that they kind of hinted towards it in the middle of it, but basically what ended up happening is that the same train that Dave Dunn is on,
that he survived. One of the people that was killed on that train was, in fact, Kevin Wendell Crumb's dad, and that just really, and that's kind of what that was the domino that got knocked over that basically set him along to becoming the Horde.
Basically, where he basically, said, this deal between you, Mastermind, and me, Horde, that's not happening anymore. There's a scene where basically he just grabs his arm, just crushes it, but then he goes back to fight the Overseer. We have a nice battle sequence there. Then it kind of gets a little bit weird.
Yeah, that's where arguably the bigger twist starts to kick in.
Basically, where then the woman who is basically their, like, psychiatric deal,
like, yeah, she's like the doctor.
She's part of, like, some kind of underground deal where they're
like,
basically
this
saying,
like tattoo of like a 3-leaf clover somewhere, like with her and this one like, I guess, police sniper. It was like on their wrist, and they're apparently part of like some secret society that knows that people with special powers exist,
but we want to just kill them. Basically,
it kind of gets the idea of like, they kind of feel like if you remember from the movie The Incredibles, and it's admittedly this kind of plot comes up a lot in superhero movies, especially the ones that are trying to deconstruct what superheroes are about. The whole, there's someone trying to take the powerful guys down, and that's what they're doing. They right. It throws off the balance and all that. It descends into chaos. And most of the time in those kind of movies, they're trying to make some kind of statement about, like, the system holding down the creative people. And considering M. Night Shyamalan's body of work, it's definitely there, but everything that is said and presented is so ultra specific to what happens in these movies that even if you do get that kind of interpretation, that kind of read, it kind of winds up clashing with the movie itself, because they're really specific about it being about these superheroes, these people with powers, because for crying out loud, what inspired Mr. Glass? Comic books. Kind of hard to say they're holding down the creatives in the world when literally all of media exists. If I will say this though, if it was his intention to make some big, they're holding the creatives and great minds down, you kind of bungled that. You made it too messy by making it too focused on your own mythology. But that's I don't think he was trying to go for that. I think he was trying to be really specific. Because, to be honest, I hated Lady in the Water, and Lady in the Water was all about that whole, the creators are being held down, and it was really badly executed. It's one of the reasons that most people don't like that movie. I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. He learned.
Yes.
He learned from the savage critical beating he got for that one.
Well, speaking of that, we get the savage critical reality of them basically killing off all three of them.
That was...
And the
that was a gut punch.
That was just one of those things where it's like, wow, they just really did not want this to really go on.
I mean, he really committed to this organization being like, no, we don't let any of this shit out. It's like, okay, maybe they'll capture the overseer and he'll get out. And it's like, no, they fucking drown him, which is like, you know, first off, drowning, that's a brutal way to kill someone, but his weakness being water like that, damn. And like, they just used, like, the police sniper I mentioned just boom, shoots the horde in the gut. And Elijah, you know, dies from the wounds given to him by the horde. Like, it is, like, they don't just die, they get fucked up.
It is really just
it is
insane.
Harsh. But it hits like a fucking truck. Like, it's this deep emotional hit, especially like when David's son like pushes the cop away and it goes all silent except for like the music, and he's like holding his dead father's body. I'm like, damn, M. Night, dude, you came for my feelings. What the fuck?
So basically, the organization tries to erase all the evidence so that way nobody finds out, oh, they were actually right about these whole deals. But little did they know that while in the institution, Mr. Glass himself was able to actually stream those videos and put them to 3 different locations. You might have guessed it. It went to Casey, went to his mother, as well as Dunn's kid. And they have the power basically to show what happens.
Which they did.
Which they did in the end. And it was actually a really good way to end it. It's kind of one of those things where they tried to kill them off, but they could not kill their legacy because Mr. Glass just thought, you know what? We're going to stream everything. Okay, just send these off here so that way they're safe. He probably had a feeling like, oh, you're going to try to erase this so that way nobody knows about this whole entire ordeal.
Yeah.
Now it's like we got 3 people that have the footage of it.
And the day is saved by live streaming.
It really is.
It really is, because he live streamed it to that, like, this one private website, and it's like, the day is saved by the power of Twitch.
What do you know about that? Just a pretty good story about that. The characters, I think, you know, of course, we talked highly about James McAvoy, Bruce Willis, Samuel L. Jackson. All 3 of them do a fantastic job. Definite. Huge applause, huge credit goes to James McAvoy for pulling off 24 different characters. Guarantee all of them are in this movie
at some point, even if it's just for like half a line of dialogue, just a few seconds. Like, if not all 24, like close to it, like we probably hit 20 at least.
He's so underrated, and we even saw at the end credits there were like all of these names, and James McAvoy's name is just right there.
It's just, you know, you see it's like Polly, you know, I forget Kevin, what's his middle name?
Kevin Wendell.
Yeah, Kevin Wendell Crumb, Hedwig, etc.
You know, Patricia, Dennis, even
everybody.
Do some new characters in there. He does such a fantastic job of doing that. Samuel Jackson didn't really even talk too much during the movie until near the end.
Yeah, and throughout most of the movie, he's kind of like head tilted aside because he's supposed to be doped up on a lot of tranquilizers and shit. And it turns out, you know, he's been, you know, basically like hiding them. He switched them out and whatnot. But what's really
I want that kind of wheelchair where they have that secret compartment.
Right. But like the really cool part, in my opinion, though, is the way you knew he either A, wasn't drugged anymore, or B, wasn't faking it, was the whole time he's kind of like this, and every once in a while his face twitches. You see him from the back in the scene where it's like, oh, he's totally good and all that, and his head is straight up. Like that is
shit got real.
See, the story and what it's about aren't too subtle, but the way the movie is made has got like a ton of little subtle touches like that. And that's, I don't know if that comes from Shyamalan or, you know, because a lot of times actors input stuff, so maybe that came from Jackson. Jackson's a great actor. He's been fucking acting for decades, so he might have come out. But either way, like, it's just little things like that really, really fucking sold it. Or like at the end, when Kevin's like, you know, I'm gonna hold on to the light until the end, like, and then it's like only 30 seconds later he dies. It's just like there's like that was. Now I will say this though.
What's up?
In order to get full enjoyment of this movie, you probably should have at least seen at some point in your life Split and Unbreakable. At the very least, Unbreakable. At the very least, they do a good enough job explaining Kevin and the Horde that you don't necessarily need to have seen Split, but you need to have at least seen Unbreakable. That's not a bad thing. It's a sequel. It should go off of its predecessors, but like it's not a sequel the way Split was a sequel, where Split was almost just like a spin-off. It's doing its own thing. This if you go into this blind, you definitely could enjoy it, but you're not gonna get like the full impact. There's gonna be a lot of stuff where you're not so much, when I say you don't get it, it's gonna be more of a, you skip to chapter 3 without reading chapters 1 and 2. There's just going to be like, okay, so these people know each other. Okay. It's going to be kind of like that. So, like, fair warning. Do not just think you can jump in.
No, definitely not. I do agree with him. See Unbreakable. If you want to see, like, some of the gaps be filled, definitely go see Split, because there are some things in there, like the relationship between Kevin and Casey. Kind of, it was a very interesting take. It was one of those things I was actually not expecting their relationship to kind of grow. One thing I really loved about this movie was that they hit the fact of Casey's uncle being thrown in jail. That was one of that was one of those moments where it's like, yes,
yes, that is fucking satisfying. And like, you can understand, like, oh, he did something to her. No, go see Split. Yeah, and then when you think about that moment where, like, oh yeah, my uncle's in prison, you're gonna be like, yup. Fuck yeah, he fucking should be.
And just, seeing the relationship again just continue to grow between the two of them. It wasn't really so much like a romantic relationship.
No,
as much
God,
as just
no.
Really close. It's just very interesting.
They were just kind of tied together. They weren't really friends, but
Casey understood the pain that kind of Kevin was going through.
Yeah,
in a weird way, she was able to like
see it through from her own lens, and like she clearly did not like forgive. This wasn't like I've forgiven you. It's more of I understand and I want the pain to stop.
Right.
Which is it's something that I've seen a lot in movies these days. Like, they get these really complex. The movie can be pretty simple, but they get really complex when it comes to like someone who like abused or hurt someone and the person that they were hurting. Like in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, that movie's basically all about like abuse and how the people who were abused deal with it. Like, and I know a lot of people are like, how could Star-Lord forgive Yondu at the end? It's, I've been in that kind of situation on the receiving end. It gets really complicated. And this movie, oh my God, like, it's handled so well. Like, they don't try to romanticize it. They don't try to make it pretty. It's very much two people who have suffered, and one person caused some of the other person's suffering, but the other person just wants it all to just, like, they just want the pain to stop so they reach out and try to understand. And it's sad, but it's really touching and beautiful. And it's not something I expected in an M. Night Shyamalan, like, superhero thriller movie.
It's actually really crazy, because one thing that we both hit on during the movie was that the doctor called Casey a victim, and we were more like,
no, she's a survivor.
She's more of a survivor than anything. She's never really been like...
Yeah, there's a reason why in real life people refer to, like, the people who've gone through, like, abuse, rape, attempted murder, whatever. They call them survivors because they survived. They made it to the other side. You maybe not make it all the way, but you made it. And to me, Casey's definitely fits that bill. Like, God, yeah. She is she changed from the experience? Fucking anybody would be, but she's still a person and she's still herself. And I kind of feel like, I kind of get the feeling like her calling Casey, the doctor calling Casey a victim, was kind of supposed to be like a tip-off. Because if this person's like a medical professional, she probably wouldn't use that kind of specific terminology. But also just the kind of pressure she put into the saying it, like, you're the victim. And then immediately going to show her anyway. It's just, I kind of wonder if that wasn't supposed to be like a little tip-off. If it was, fuck yeah, goddamn M. Night.
Doing the
M. Night, make more movies like this. Come on, man.
The Patricia clap deal, jeez Louise.
Oh,
I will say,
God.
If I did have one thing to complain, well, maybe two things, because one thing we kind of hit on, which was like really weird. There's just like a really weird coincidence thing that we kind of noticed.
Oh yeah,
there's Roman Reigns was not in this movie, but it was so weird how they all
there's gonna be people who don't know wrestling. They're just be like, why is that dude jacking off his arm?
so like in the first like 2 minutes of this movie, we literally just see somebody just coming in, just flying through the air, and we're like, what the fuck?
And he comes down on this random dude in the street and is like, yeah, Superman punch, bitch. And it's just,
Did he just? We both kind of looked at each other.
Yeah,
like, what?
and then
there's like a Roman Reigns deal or something like that.
Fuck? And then later on, it's like they mentioned
Dunn's wife
died of I can't remember the specific type, but it's a specific type of leukemia, which is unfortunately the kind that Roman Reigns at the time of this video is currently going through treatment for. Is leukemia came back.
Now, we mentioned that, maybe it was like a weird homage to Roman or something.
I think
it also felt like a really cruel coincidence.
Yeah.
Those two things were in this movie.
This movie had to have been being worked on beforehand.
Yeah.
I think it's just a coincidence. The Superman punch thing could be a nod to Roman. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I know he made The Last Airbender because he was a big fan, alongside his kids, of Avatar: The Last Airbender. If that's the case, you would have made a better movie. I like, just like we say, do not forgive or forget sometimes. But I don't know, like, if he's a wrestling fan, WWE fan specifically, or if his, his family. I think it's just a pair of coincidences.
I'm just gonna tweet at him asking if the Superman
Dear
punch
at
deal.
M Night, y'all a WWE fan?
Asking, was the Superman punch inspired by Roman Reigns? And if he says yes,
If he actually responded to that and you get a yes back, I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna freak out a little bit. Be like, okay, A, he responded to you. B, what?
But that was just one of those weird coincidences we noticed in there. The other thing that I probably would have critiqued a bit was some moments that the doctor had. You mentioned, the fact that she mentioned Casey as a victim.
Yeah, some of the lines are a little.
It was weird because
weird.
It was one of those things where she was kind of like that one person in life that's trying to like take out every single bit of enjoyment out of like the comic books, out of the superhero deal, especially when she has that like a deal where she's talking to Dave, Kevin, and Elijah all at the same time. She's basically just saying like, oh, there's no way that this would ever happen. There's no way that this would be a thing. And blah, blah, blah.
She's
blah.
just, I mean, and you could definitely look at it like,
it annoyed the hell out of me.
Yeah, it's that I think is one of those scenes, like, the way I took it, and this is, personal interpretation, I still didn't like the dialogue at all in that scene. It was badly written. The way I took it as she was trying, like, in character, just to enforce, like, no, this is a delusion. Comic books are fiction, guys. But that's another one of those moments where it's like, that what I was talking about before, where a lot of people are like, M. Night's doing the whole put upon artist thing. That's definitely one of those moments where it's like, I see where you're coming from with that. And again, if that's what he's going for, it creates a separate problem of that clashes with, the entirety of the movie. Either way, it's a problem, and it's definitely a noticeable one, and it kind of was one of those moments that kicked me a little bit out of it, like, but for different reasons. The issue is, either way, it is a problem with the movie. Either it's what he was going for and it does not work because of the rest of the movie, or, wow, really, dude, you're doing the whole poor put upon artist thing, like, plus, again, like you said, dialogue's just bad. It's just, and again, that's not the whole movie, but it is a problem. Like, everyone always says, there's no such thing as a perfect movie. Well, great movie, not perfect. We're gonna be fair and bring up the problems.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where it's like, this was not the apple that spoiled the whole bunch, but
No.
it was definitely noticeable enough to where it's like,
it's like the brown end of your banana.
Exactly.
It's like you cut it off.
At least it didn't affect the whole entire product.
Exactly. Yeah. To stick with comic book movies, it's kind of like how Iron Man 3 has a lot of plot holes to it, but they're plot holes that really only affect an individual scene, or like, oh, wait, that doesn't make sense. How did you get here? But overall, the movie is so well executed, at least in my opinion, that it's still a really good movie. This is another example of that. It's a hole in not necessarily the story, but in the film. And it's a point where the movie kind of trips and face plants, but it gets back up and keeps going. Yeah. And it finishes fucking strong as shit.
It really does. So let's go into final thoughts, and then we'll go final grading or star rating or whatever, something like that. Honestly, like we said, we're recording this immediately after watching it. Mm-hmm. Very well done. I was very impressed with how they did it. We kind of both mentioned that we might put Unbreakable as number 1. This is number 2, and Split is number 3. But that's not taking away anything from any of these movies at all. They all tied together very well. They fill in some plot holes that we might have had from previous movies. They bring up a lot of the stuff that happened in the 2 previous movies, and they just do a fantastic job of developing the characters to that point to when they die at the end. We're like, well, shit.
It doesn't feel like you got cheated with their deaths. It feels like a genuine loss, which is hard to do.
Especially when they're trying to do this in like a 2-hour movie. They had a lot of ground to cover still.
And they managed to.
They managed to.
And what's honestly just impressive is they have that moment, like, where they trip and they faceplant. But even with that and the runtime, they still are able to accomplish everything they set out to do. It's just, damn, son.
It's kind of one of those things where you're watching a runner, they trip maybe a couple of times, but they still finish strong. That's why I kind of describe this movie pretty much.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give this 4 out of 5 stars. I think that it's one of the best movies to start off this year with.
Oh, yeah.
And holy crap, we still got the rest of 2019. We got Marvel movies coming up.
Oh, my God. I am... My body is... Like, everyone's like, Endgame. I'm like... Y'all motherfuckers, I've been a Captain Marvel fan. Sorry, back in the day she was Miss Marvel, but I like the Captain Marvel name. She's been doing that for like 4 years now, but she is one of my all-time like top characters in fiction, so it's like y'all can be ready for Endgame. My body is ready for Captain Marvel. As for this movie though, I do the 10 scale. I'd probably, honestly, yeah, we'll my head says 7.5, but I'm gonna go with my heart. I 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10?
8 out of 10. This was a damn good movie. It gives me a lot of hope for where things are going to go going through the rest of the year, because I've seen, I think this is the second or third, I've seen 3 movies this year. This one, Aquaman, and I know Aquaman came out in 2018, but whatever. Damn, what was the other one?
Bumblebee?
No, I saw that still in 2018. What was it? Welcome to Marwen. Welcome to Marwen was, for me, very disappointing. I went into that expecting a lot more. But, and Aquaman was pretty good, like...
Not quite Wonder Woman level, but...
No, I like, Wonder Woman I give like 8.5. Aquaman's like a 7. It's like a solid 7,
That's still pretty good,
That's still a good movie, but this, like I said, 8... Like between, I've seen Aquaman, which again, 7 out of 10. I give this one an 8. That's a good start to my movie going year.
I mean, so guys, thank you so much for joining this up on Patreon. Thank you guys for your support. More of these are to come along with other movie reviews, because honestly, we have so much fun doing shit like this. Yeah. So definitely,
we watch movies and then we talk about them.
And honestly, doing this on Patreon is only going to make it that much better. Now, obviously, when Patreon gets posted up and we're doing this more, it's probably going to be one of those situations where we're going to definitely say, okay, spoiler alert, do not watch this unless...
In this case, it's been like 3.5, 4 months since this movie came out, so
we get a pass on this, but... future reference for us, we're probably gonna end up doing something like Channel Awesome does, because they usually do a deal where it's like a day after it premieres and
like what do they call it? Is that what Sibling Rivalry is?
Sibling Rivalry, Doug Reviews.
Or like a lot of the former Channel Awesome staff, like I know Cinema Snob does that. Linkara does that with his wife. They do a lot of like live streams and just like hey, we just saw this, or they'll do their unboxing videos and talk about it there.
She plugged you guys, so...
Yeah, by the way, still love you all.
But, yeah, definitely go check out Mr. Max on his YouTube page. He's got a lot of great...
Agent Cooper's Pop Culture Pulpit. I know, by the title, you might think I talk about shit, but mostly, it's just horror movies. It's mostly horror.
It's still awesome. You got your... what is it? Your
Story Doctor, where I take, like, movies that didn't work... but could have worked. Like, they got that kernel of an idea, and I basically just it's the whole rewriting trend that's been big on YouTube for a few years now. I got
you got your versus deal, like your death battle.
Yep, basically I take horror movie monsters and pit them against each other, kind of analyze how they would, who would win and all that.
And even some random horror movie reviews.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna be doing some by the time this comes out, I hopefully will have already implemented some of the stuff I'm gonna be doing this year in 2019. But if I haven't, it's coming, I promise. But yeah, so that Agent Cooper's Pop Culture Pulpit, honestly, time of recording, I'm probably going to be creating a Facebook page at some point. So
Sweet. So you definitely know where to give us a like on our Facebook fan page for The Game Changer. You definitely know where to also just check me out on Twitter at Real Effing Game. So this has been Max and Nate Go to the Movies. This is part 1 that we've actually done this. Expect a lot more to come in 2019 because we got a raucous, huge year ahead of us. So thank you guys so much. Have a good one, and thank you for supporting us here on Patreon. Bye-bye.
bye-bye.